Annyeonghaseyo! Welcome to Afternoona Delight. We're Lia, Megan, and Amy, romance novelists and your K-romance guides. So grab some dekboki and listen to your new favorite unnies.
Hey, everybody.
Hello and hi there.
So tonight it is Lia and Amy because Megan is,
Frolicking around Scotland.
Yeah, I was going to say living her best Outlander life.
Seriously. I'm so excited for her, but so jealous of like the pictures I've seen. Oh, I love Scotland.
I saw her photos with the Highland cows.
Mm-hmm. That was, I want to hug a Highland cow. Like when I was there, I did not get to see any Highland cows. I bought Highland cow socks when I was in Inverness.
Okay.
And when we got home from the trip, because my birthday happened over the trip, and my daughter still wanted to get me something for my birthday, and she's 18, mind you. She's very into these tiny little stuffed animals called Palm Pals.
Okay.
And she was at a local store and texted me from there. She's like, "Oh my gosh, I think I found your birthday present." And it's a little Highland cow Palm Pal. And his name's Hubert. And she bought him for me. And so now I have my own little Palm Pal named Hubert. And he's, Highland cow. I love Highland cows. My mom reminded me because I studied abroad in Scotland my junior year of college. So this is a few decades ago now. And she told me that I called her from a payphone that was like, we were like in the middle of like the Isle of Skye. And there was like just this random payphone like out in the middle of like farmland. And then I like called her from the payphone to tell her that I was like in a Highland cow field.
Oh my gosh, amazing.
I don't even remember this, but she does. And I believe it because I love the Highland cows.
Yeah, travel. I was thinking that just makes me think about how when I first moved to Australia, 3,000 years ago, and how, I didn't have a cell phone. So I would get like a phone card.
Yeah.
And have to like
a calling card. Yeah.
Yeah. And I would like call my parents from like payphone boxes, like in downtown Hobart.
That's exactly what I did. I was in the middle of a farm in the Isle of Skye, and there was a random phone box. And so I used my calling card and called home.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we lived in the olden days. So speaking of your daughter, before we get into things, you've been gone a little bit, but you've been going through some big life changes.
Yeah, my daughter is away at college now. I moved her in almost 2 weeks ago. Monday will be 2 weeks. And she started classes yesterday. And very exciting. I'm very excited for her. Miss her a lot. I've been away from her for more than this before because she's gone, like she went on a big school trip to Germany and Austria this past year and was gone for like 10 days. So it's not like I haven't been away from her, but like when I walk into her like cleared out bedroom, like, and I know that she doesn't live in there anymore, that's when it hits. But it's very exciting.
Yes. It's just got to feel, you don't have your kids full time, like,
No.
like custody, but now when you just have your son, is that like, what kind of vibe is that?
It's not a huge difference right now, only because the past like month before she left, she was never home because it was like the goodbye weeks, right? Like saying goodbye to all her friends. So she was very social. Yeah. What was weird was literally the day after I brought her, my schedule with my ex is my kids are always with me on Monday and Tuesday nights. And then he has them Wednesday, Thursday, then we split the weekends. Okay. So they're always with me Monday and Tuesday. So I brought her to school on Monday. Tuesday, like afternoon, evening, just doing dinner with my son. And he's like, "So who's cleaning the litter box tonight, me or Sydney?" And I looked at him and I'm like, your sister's never cleaning the litter boxes, buddy. It's just you. And he's like, "Oh," like it hit him. And I'm like, he won't admit to missing her, but like as brothers and sisters go, I think that they have a good relationship and they will hopefully enjoy each other's company more when she comes home for the first time.
Yeah. When's the plan for her to come home?
We don't have a plan yet. Her plan is to stay there because she's only 90 minutes away. So she's, she's just over the border in Wisconsin. But she's not here. So, whatever the distance is, she's not here. At orientation, they told all the students, don't go home before a month because it takes that long for this to feel like home. This is right. Like this is what you tell your students.
The developmental thing that we get into, because I work in residential life, which is, we're the team that kind of like helps support the students living on campus. is the first 6 weeks are very pivotal for a new. So for anyone listening at home, the first 6 weeks are seen kind of like the literature shows that really can like set you up for success. So we put a lot of investment and time into like, that's when there's a lot of programming. That's when there's a lot of club activity. That's when there's a lot of like, let's integrate into your campus community. So really trying to be there for those 6 weeks. So you really feel like you get in and kind of like get settled, I think is just, that's a big priority.
So I think the earliest she might come home might be like the weekend of like Indigenous Peoples Day, because, you know, that Monday they're off and she doesn't have class on Fridays because she has the cushiest schedule I've ever seen for college. But I told her, I'm like, I'm not going to pressure you. I'm like, of course you are welcome home anytime. I'm like, you name it and I will drive up and get you after, you know, that first month. So I'm like, it's entirely up to you. But of course, sooner rather than later would be fine with me.
And now in the meantime, you have a chance to, you know, invest in some quality K-drama watching.
Invest in some K-drama watching. And I don't know if you saw my mildly unhinged grocery shopping on Instagram yesterday, but also invest in some Trader Joe's delicacies.
Yeah, tell me a little bit before we get into any more. So first, I don't know how, like, if you're not in the US, because I do remember, you know, I always have to remember we have a large listenership, which I'm really appreciative of, that is not in the Trader Joe's. Like, what do we say about Trader Joe's?
Do you have Trader Joe's?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I know you do. I remember. Yeah, we had all sorts of Trader Joe's stuff for the Oakland concert. Yeah. Okay. I was like, wait, you have Trader Joe's? It was Megan.
No, I just think to like speak. I'm speaking.
Yeah. Speaking to the listeners who don't have Trader Joe's. So you can help me out with this too. So Trader Joe's is like a boutique grocery store. Everything in Trader Joe's is Trader Joe's brand. So it's one of those places where you can get a lot of great things, but maybe not everything on your grocery list if there's stuff that's, you know, like store brand that you want. But Trader Joe's also has a vibe that I really, really like. You can't go to Trader Joe's without somebody there asking you like what you're up to that evening or for the weekend, depending on like, you know, when you're buying your stuff, talking about the products. It's just like,
there's memes about it.
Yeah, there's memes. I was going to say there's so many things on social media about like I think it's part of the Trader Joe's training to pick up one of your products, look at it and say, you know, this is my guilty pleasure. Oh my gosh, I love this one. Or this one's going to get me in trouble. You know, like they have to like say something about your product. I don't know if it's in the training, but like every time I go, they say something. And so that's what happened to me this week. So they have seasonal products, which is a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know, because you don't know if a seasonal product is going to come back. So last summer, my son and I I saw it on social media and I wanted to try it. It's dill pickle mini falafel. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I've never tried it, so you're going to have to, this has not been something that I've added to my Trader Joe's repertoire.
Well, it's going away.
Okay. So I guess
just the season.
So what I'm missing.
You should go tomorrow and check for it. Okay. So it's Trader Joe's dill pickle falafel. So if you don't know falafel is made, you know, but it's basically like a fritter made from like garbanzo beans and spices and stuff like that. And falafel on its own is great. It's fine. But these particular ones have little tiny pieces of dill pickle in them. So, if you've ever had like a fried pickle at a restaurant, which is delicious, it's when you cook them up in the air fryer or in the oven, they're nice and crispy. It's like eating a fried pickle, but with a little bit more of a grainy taste to it, right? Basically, what it comes down to is they're like my favorite thing in the whole wide world. I love them. Okay. And we found out about them last summer, and I bought like one bag to try, and they're little, like the bags are not that big. Bought one bag to try. I loved them. My son loved them. My daughter liked them. She didn't love them, but she's like, yeah, these are good. Went back to get more and they were gone, just gone. I was checking other Trader Joe's. Like I was going to other towns to go to other Trader Joe's. They're gone. So I found out they came back the beginning of July while I was on my cruise, because I follow somebody on Instagram who talks about Trader Joe's new releases, and I saw they were back. So I went in as soon as I got back from my cruise and I bought 6 bags. And I just went to replenish this week. So 6 bags like lasted me a while, lasted me a couple months. Just went back to replenish a couple days ago. And I was like, man, these are so good. I don't want you to run out. So I keep buying like, you know, several bags at a time. And one of the cashiers was like, well, you know, they're seasonal and they're going away soon. I was like, no, I'm like, I should go get more. She's like, we could order you a case. I was like, how many bags are in a case? She's like 24 or 32. Let me go check. And it's 24. And to give you the idea of a bag, like a serving is 10. And I think that there's maybe like 4 servings in a bag. So they're little, like almost like a tater tot size. And so they're like, I'm showing with my hands, like you can see how big it is. So like not a huge bag.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, order me the case. And the case came in yesterday and I went and picked up my case of 24 bags of falafel because I have an auxiliary freezer in my garage. And yeah, when the
you are
apocalypse
Midwest.
when the apocalypse comes, I am gonna have all the falafel.
Well, I'm just proud of you for having a garage freezer. Look at you living your Midwest life. This is another cultural nuance, folks. Midwesterners have fridges and freezers in their garage.
Oh yeah. I mean, we had a blackout a couple weeks ago because we had a really bad storm, and I brought all of my fridge and freezer stuff over to my friend's house, who has an extra fridge and extra freezer in her garage.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. My
so sorry, that was a big diatribe on Trader Joe's dill pickle falafel, but like, you know what? It was money well spent. This will make me very happy for months to come.
And if you're not in the US, which again, like is half our listenership, I think, get a little flavor of our culture, which is, I saw somewhere that was written that, what is it about? There's some like thing about, for Trader Joe's, it's aimed at the overeducated and underpaid. And I was like, yes, it is.
Yes, 100%. Because it's not expensive. Like that's the thing. It's not expensive. Like this case of falafel cost me $100. Like, and that's food for like 6 months for me.
24 servings. You could apocalypse.
Not 24 servings, 24 bags 24 that each have 4 servings. Like we're talking apocalypse food here.
When you're done with this, please bring it up on the pod so we can see if after you binged them, like if
I'm done hyperfixating, because that does happen to me. I will hyperfixate on a food.
Yeah.
And love it hard. But I I waited a year for this to come back and it's already going away again. So, look, if you're not from the US and you come to the US, I know that for a lot of people, like the big, like, is to go to like a big box store like Costco, right? Like,
no, go to Trader Joe's.
Go to Trader Joe's. I mean, Costco's great. Like, no shade to Costco. I go to Costco too.
Costco's overseas. No, Costco's are everywhere. There's Costco's in most countries.
Are there? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it's actually amazing to go travel and go see other people's Costco. That's actually
that actually does sound cool. Okay, now I wanted to go to an out of country Costco, but Trader Joe's, go. You won't be sorry. You won't be sorry. And talk to me before you go because I'll tell you things you should try.
So it got its start in California. And it started like in the 60s or 70s, and it started with part of the wine craze of like selling because wine hadn't really caught on to like the American taste palette, and so it was a place where they were like importing kind of like nicer. That's why they have such a big wine selection still. Like you Trader Joe's, and they have pretty affordable, decent wine.
Yeah,
for like $12 to $4, and
yeah, it's good.
That was kind of where it started, was like under that kind of like a nexus of almost like a fancy wine convenience store in some ways. So anyway, we are down a rabbit hole of Trader Joe's, but I personally think, we're bringing a little bit of our culture here, and now we can ping pong to, a culture that neither of us are a part of, but that we have built an entire media empire around.
Yes, we have the K-drama culture.
and so what are you talking about?
So I came across this Screen Rant article this past week talking about top 10 K-drama tropes. And yes, we've talked about K-drama tropes before, but like, I was like, when I was looking at this article, I was like, you know what, there's a fun spin that we can put on this because we've talked about our favorite K-drama tropes, but this is somebody else's list of tropes. So here's what I thought we could do with this list of tropes. First, like, is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down for us, the particular trope? What's a drama that does it well or maybe not so well? And have we ever used this trope in a book? And if so, like, was it something that we used independently or was it, K-drama influenced? So yeah, 10 tropes, some dramas, some book talk, and I think it'll be fun. And we're going to just kick it right off with one of the biggest tropes of all that we have talked about, which is sudden amnesia. So I love that it's titled as sudden amnesia because amnesia doesn't happen gradually. So here's what Screen Rant says about sudden amnesia. And we'll put the link to this article in the show notes because Screen Rant does give examples, but like we're going to give our own. I'm not going to give their examples. So we'll start with amnesia. So Screen Rant says, amnesia is a trope that's often seen in many K-dramas. It's often used as a plot device for main characters to add a level of suspense, especially when it comes to a love story. After watching so many hours of the main characters finally trying to admit their feelings, a sudden tragic event of amnesia takes place. So, do you like this trope? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
I'm a surprise. So what do you go first?
So, for me, unless it's used really well, I can take a pass on it. And I feel like that's because I'm still coming off of a drama that we both recently talked about, which is Queen of Tears, and they did it very poorly. So I didn't love it. Yeah, but you tell me what you think first, because I have some more to say.
Okay. So for me, I am going to say that at face value, it should be a thumbs down, but it's actually in my heart, not. And so I think that this is my issue with K-drama is I think that amnesia can actually be really cool in a story. And I'm going to give some examples why after, we do our thumbs up, thumbs down. But I think that in K-drama, it definitely ends up being kind of like a crutch, often like we're seeing with serial killers. Like, I don't know what else to do. I got to fill up these episodes. Amnesia. But I feel like, like in like Memento, where
but that's short-term memory loss. Like, so that's a little bit different.
But it's like you can't remember past it. I'm gonna say amnesia is like, so like there's and the elements you can do. And then there's also like the book by it is Liam Moriarty, isn't it? What Alice forgot?
Yeah.
Which is also a really excellent book where essentially a woman like comes to and she
forgot like the last 15 years of her life.
The last thing she remembers being like 25 and like about to get engaged and happily in love, comes to as like a middle-aged woman either getting a divorce or divorced, her kids distanced from her. Like basically like what the fuck happened to my life?
Yeah.
A very compelling, I mean, that would be a great drama. And so, and I think playing around with that level of like memory in terms of like, it doesn't have to be like you woke up and forgot everything, but like, yeah, you could have the short-term memory loss. You could have these different elements.
Forget everything except who Mother Teresa is.
Looking at you, tears. Yeah. Looks, I mean, she didn't have total amnesia. She could remember she remembered her whole family. She remembered literally everyone around her except for, I think, maybe
she didn't remember her family.
She
didn't remember. That was the whole thing. She didn't remember her family, but she remembered Mother Teresa.
Okay. But she accepted her family. She was like, no worries. You're all my family.
Yeah, you're my family. Cool. All right.
Okay. No bigs. So yeah, I just think that amnesia could be good. It just isn't good now.
Well, the two examples that you give are good ones because the memory issue is the story. Where I think a lot of times in K-drama, like you said, it gets shoehorned in as this crutch to
just cause some drama, basically, just to cause like kind of like a little bit more external conflict or internal conflict. It's not even internal conflict because it's not like the person's ever like, oh no, I can't remember. I'm having a big crisis. They're usually fine. Like I just can't remember.
Right. The amnesiac is usually fine. Like they're like, I don't remember shit, but oh well. It's everybody else who's like, oh no. And so like that's why I'll say like there's really only one drama where I like it, but I can't say what drama it is because it's a huge spoiler for it. And I know you know which one I'm talking about. And like I've said this before. And so like if you want to know what drama I'm talking about, like just go watch one of my top 5 dramas and you'll know. And you'll know.
Name your top 5 though.
Like name my real top 5 right now. Like so now I'm on the
plant a seed of dramas. Like
plant a seed of dramas. Okay. Goblin, Alchemy of Souls, Flower of Evil, A Time Called You, Lovely Runner.
Perfect. Okay. So it's in there.
It's in there. It was in there. I gave it to you. So one drama where I hated it.
Oh.
Other than Queen of Tears was Boys Over Flowers. I love Boys Over Flowers. Problematic to the end. I love Boys Over Flowers. But like the third act amnesia, just like that's the crutch, right? Like it didn't need it. It didn't need it. So
no, it didn't need it. Meteor Garden, which is like a spin-off of Boys Over Flowers. They have look away if you need a huge, you don't want any spoilers. But in it, what was interesting is they tried to deal with the amnesia trope as well. He fakes it. And that was good. Actually, that handled it really well because he's faking it.
Yeah.
For reasons. And then like that was awesome. Like it was like a funny little twist on it. So I mean, I can also handle that, like a bait and switch, like I'm faking amnesia for some specific like purpose.
And
That's
I think was Boys Over Flowers our first amnesia? I think it was.
For K-drama, probably.
For K-drama, yeah. So
So I'm gonna say like, yeah, it's never been done well that I've seen. But one, I'm gonna use a term amnesia light. And so I like, it's not amnesia, but I'm going to say it fits within the amnesia family. And that happens in Memories of the Alhambra, where the protagonist, Jinwoo, who's played by Hyun Bin, who is hot in this drama, very, very hot. Part of this is that it's a video game that's kind of like reality based. So you play it, like you put in contacts, and then the game, like, I don't know all the gaming terms because I'm not a gamer.
It's like LARPing.
Yeah, kind of. It's like LARPing. So the world comes alive around you and you're constantly like questing and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then like you take them off and you're back in the real world. Except the game starts to have like real world implications where, you know, if you die in one world, do you live in the other, you know, stuff like that. But because it's like such an immersive game, there's a lot of blurriness of like what happens in the game versus reality, and like that disorientation and like losing time a little bit. So it's not like true amnesia in like what we're using as a sense, but I'm going to say that like some of that, just like Memento having some of the short-term memory, like there's like a gradient where you can kind of put some of those things into like what would kind of be like a big amnesia basket. And I do like that element too of like, just like your memory is very unreliable, maybe not a total amnesia, but yeah, what can you trust? Because all of a sudden it might even make you, I always like unreliable narrators because it becomes interesting, but it's also interesting when the protagonist is an unreliable narrator even to themselves. So they're in that.
Which is a great, Memento is a great example of that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you like twisty, like Christopher Nolan movies, like go back to Memento. That was a really good one.
So have you ever used amnesia in a trope? Or have you ever, I cannot speak tonight.
It's okay.
Have you ever used the amnesia trope in a book?
So it's funny, like, because I jotted down my answer, but then I was just thinking, like, I have a whole like amnesia book plotted that I have not written nor sold.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's one that like I came up with like a long time ago, but I haven't written it. But I do have, like, speaking of short-term memory lost. I can't talk to either. Speaking of short-term memory loss, I do have a book. It's my second published book. And it's called What If? And the heroine has short-term memory loss due to a traumatic brain injury. So I think that that's amnesia adjacent, like, you know, like we've been talking about.
I have not done this, but also I feel like I would. Like this is something that
I feel like you would too.
But I think I would play around with it a lot, like how I'm talking about it too, in terms of like, yeah, having it be like more that twisty, unreliable narrator. But I think, yeah, I mean, I'd be interested overall in playing around with amnesia for sure.
Cool.
All right, on to the next one. So trope 2, main characters who actually knew each other beforehand. Screen Rant says, some storylines have audiences believe that the main characters just met, but it doesn't always turn out that way. It's often later revealed that the leads had a past together or met beforehand and forgot about each other. Thumbs up or a thumbs down?
I love it. I love it. You don't, do you?
I don't love it. I wrote down, actually, I'm lukewarm at best. So it's never like, I'm like, oh my God. I'm kind of like, oh, okay.
No, the first time though, like, so when we hit our gateway drama, which is Crash Landing on You.
Yeah.
I did not know that this was a K-drama trope, right? When I first started watching drama. So I did not know this was a trope when I watched Crash Landing on You. So when it happened in Chloe, I was like, oh my God, there were paths crossed years ago. Oh my God, it's amazing.
I did like that.
Yeah. And so the first time it hit me really hard. It hits different now. Like now I expect it, but I still do like it when there is that good connection. Like it gives me the warm fuzzies when it's a good one. Like not like, you know, I mean, like sometimes it's a traumatic, you know, history together and I don't love that as much. But like the Crash Landing on You version of it, there's, you know, a recent drama that we just did a podcast on that did it and I really liked it. Well, yeah, so I like it when it's like a sweet reunion. And I thought it was a very lovely way that it was done in Crash Landing on You. And yeah, I don't love it as much when it's trauma induced connection. I mean, like I love Rain or Shine, but like that's a big trauma that binds them. What's Wrong with Secretary Kim? It's a big trauma that binds them.
Yeah, I think that's fair. So, okay. I just want to complain.
Go for it. Yeah, go.
Because
Please.
I'm never over a few things that have happened in K-drama. I'm not even going to talk about my demon. I'm going to talk about Queen of Tears because tonight apparently is the night we're going to call out Queen of Tears.
I didn't mean to, and then it's just it just went there.
I didn't expect it, but I need to call it out for this reason. If you don't want a Queen of Tears, this is a very light spoiler. Like I'm really not going to get into the weeds with it. If you want no spoilers, move ahead.
I already spoiled though with Amnesia.
Yeah, but I mean, like what I'm getting into. I'm not talking about it.
Yeah.
So in Queen of Tears, we do this trope convention of characters who knew each other beforehand with the villain and the heroine in a way that I find incredibly sympathetic. Like I really liked it. I liked it so much that I'm wagging a finger at this drama because I feel like this drama could have made the villain so painfully relatable.
And there could have been a redemption.
Given us a second male lead for the ages, one that I would have stopped everything to write an SOS about. Like, I feel like this villain was done so dirty in what should have been his story to just making him like a one-note baddie.
Yep.
It makes me very mad. So I am pissed about that. And I feel like it was squandered. And I feel like the actor was amazing. The character, I think, could have been just so good. Why did we do that?
Agree.
And then I'm just going to toss out that there's a Thai drama, Love in the Air. It does this in a way that I kind of liked because I thought it was just kind of cute and clever, and it doesn't like really get heavy-handed with like the fated mates connection. I don't know what it is about fated mates. Maybe I just like reject the idea of fate, and I find it like it makes me pissy. I think that's what happens. I think I just get pissy over fate. Like, fuck you, fate. Don't you get in my business?
My favorite trope.
Yeah. So I think I'm just like, oh, there's no fate. Get out of my space. This is all
fuck you, fate.
Yeah. Fuck you, fate. So in Love in the Air, there is a moment where there's like a thing basically in this drama that like helped inspire one of the main characters to like hang in there when the times are tough and, things like that. And at the end of the drama, you realize that his love interest, who like he gets together with, is the person who like made it, did it. And so there's like, it's a very loose connection, but basically like he created this thing and it's a thing that's always given the other person comfort. And I like that as just like a very subtle. It didn't make them fated mates, but it did kind of give a sense of like a nice arc and a nice like balance of like even before they had met, they were influencing each other and like impacting each other's lives, which I thought was lovely.
Have you ever done it in a book?
I have not. And again, I said I'm not a hater. I'm not in love with this. So I mean, if I did it, I would probably do something that has a touch of what I just talked about. I just realized as I talked to you, I think the problem is just I don't like fated mates. And so that's
you did it in your first SOS.
A fated mates?
A past connection.
What was it?
I'm not remembering it entirely because this is for your She Was Pretty. I think it was for your She Was Pretty second lead.
Look, I'm not going to say it.
It was like an adoption thing. It was an adoption thing where he comes back. I don't remember it exactly. I remember loving that you did it.
Okay. Well, I will have to find it and see. Yep. As much as I say whenever, because again, it's good you contradict me because as soon as I speak in absolutes, I generally am contradicted in general.
Your next drama you're going to watch is going to have this connection and it's going to be your favorite thing in the world.
But I am just going to say that like, I just didn't realize because I think I didn't really fully unpack, even though it's very obvious when I say it out loud. The reason fated mates doesn't tend to land with me much is because I just reject the idea of fate. And so I think that's my issue. It's just a me issue.
Yeah, I don't know if fated mates means it has to be like the real definition of fate, I guess. I don't know. Like when there's something magical involved, like when it's Goblin or when it's Alchemy of Souls, like then I tend to believe more in that idea of fate. But I think it takes on a little bit of a different meaning for me, contemporarily speaking, just like more of a
I do like to just be contrary.
Yeah.
Something I like that you like is when, I don't know if you'd say it's fate, but it's like there's something about the person that is just like, I'm going to use the Twilight example. like, why are you so special? Like, it would be like, I can't, like, there's something, like, you're not like the others, but there's like some reason that like Nigel's like, I can't read your mind, or your blood just tastes so amazing. I generally don't mind that at all.
So you're good with like imprinting.
Oh, I'm hugely good with imprinting. It's more just the idea of, I mean, I'm just being a hater. The idea,
It's okay.
yeah. Just like I always have like, just like when it's like you're gonna find your soulmate, I find it such like a damaging, dangerous thing to like put out there into the world. I maybe this is a me issue, but I find it to be, yeah, I guess I find it to be damaging. I'm like, there's lots of people, there's lots of paths, there's
Lots of people, there's lots of paths, but I think I think there can be such, this is for a discussion for another day, but I think there can be such a thing as a soulmate, but I don't think there's necessarily one.
I mean, if we want to get into past lives and my belief in past lives being possible, then I would feel like you could have a connection with somebody that's possible because you've known them in some other way. But I don't know if I feel like there's like, just like,
What was that in past lives? It was in Young, right?
yeah.
I like that.
I believe in that kind of a chemistry. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm recognizing you because there's some history that we have from like a past life. I don't know if I don't really buy into it in the terms of just like, there's a magic juju of like me finding some other person. But if you were like, you found that other person because in the past you were lovers or you were enemies or you were whatever, but there's just something that's bringing it, then I'm like, oh, that checks out better. But you know what? It's a Wednesday work night and I am not going to be unpacked. Like, I can see people at home.
No. It's okay. We don't need to unpack Fia and soulmates, but just know, like, I do believe, but I believe that there's not necessarily just one, that you can have many. And hopefully one of them will,
be listening to this
waltz into my life. Yeah.
They've turned it on and they're like, damn, Amy's so smart.
Yeah, no. Yeah, I saw something on TikTok last week that I shared with another single divorced friend of mine, which was somebody talking about how your person for you exists because you exist. And I was like, I like that. I have not done this in a book, but I will. I like it. I love it. I love the past connection and finding each other in adulthood. So mark my words, people. I will do it.
I'm ready. Now let's go to trope 3.
Disapproving and overbearing parents. What's a good love story if there isn't any backlash from family members? It's not uncommon to see love dramas use this trope, often when the charming and elite male character defies his parents' wishes to be with the person he truly loves. Do you like the overbearing, interfering parent trope?
It's a nuance for me. At face value, I don't love a disapproving, overbearing parent, but I do like a messy parent that feels real.
Yeah, I don't mind if it's like sort of a sidebar conflict, but if the only obstacle to the romance is a parent who disapproves, then it's a no for me. But on the flip side, I love really lovely parents who are supportive no matter what. Those are fine too. But yeah, the disapproving, overbearing parent can become a caricature. Mm-hmm. And so I don't like you said, like a messy parent who feels real. I like that. But the overbearing, disapproving, who that's their only role to play is to disapprove.
Yeah.
That gets old quickly.
So one example that I use where I feel like the parent is pretty like overbearing and disapproving, but also in a way that felt a little messy and I liked it, is going to be from When the Camellia Blooms.
Oh yeah.
So we have the hero's mom is a single mom and had a hard time, like grew up being a single mom, raising her son. And so she has issues with the heroine for the same reason. Essentially, like, this was a path that was very challenging and I don't want to like wrap up my son in any of that kind of business. But within that, they were actually friends. Like before, like the son stuff started to happen and he was falling for the sons. Like they were kind of like, she was kind of like, they were almost like sisters doing it for themselves. Like, I see you, girl, out there doing your best. And like, I'm rooting for you.
Until she found out her son had a crush on her.
For him. And so there was like a real pain in the loss of that relationship when she kind of withheld that affection. And part of the drama was like kind of working on that trauma. And so I liked it because, again, it was like that disapproving parent, but like you kind of understood where in some ways they were coming from with it. And it just made it was more messy because it was also like I genuinely like you. I think you're a good person and I see you, but I've busted everything for this kid. And like, I need him to like really get the best that he can get. And like, I don't think it's you.
That's a really, really fantastic example. I love that one. Just in general, like that drama and the way that it deals with single motherhood, I think is a really good drama to watch. I mean, also for Kang Han-ul's giant smile.
He has not replicated that to me yet.
No. So I'm gonna give some love to Queen of Tears now.
Okay.
Because I think it's a drama that does it well, because we actually get to see the Hong family, who is very overbearing and very judgy, kind of learn from their judgy mistakes when they kind of fall from grace and are forced to bond with Baek Hyun-woo's family. And we see a big change, and it changes not just how they treat Hyun-woo and, you know, his relationship with their daughter, but it also changes like how they treat each other, which I thought was really well done. Like I'll still never get over the whole like sort of Schitt's Creek parallel that I think this drama did so well. So we do love some stuff in Queen of Tears, just not the end.
To me, it's just a frustrating drama because I think there was so much that I could have liked better about it, but that's okay. We're not
so much potential.
And if you like it, you know what? Just like it. Just be happy that you like it. Okay. Trope 4. Best.
Oh, do you do it in a book? Do you do that one? Do you just? Because I don't. Do you?
Okay. In a book, look, I have a grandmother who was like the primary caregiver, so I'm going to say yes. And so that is my Brightwater trilogy. And
she was fun.
It really comes up the most in the first book of that, Last First Kiss. She raised her grandson. She is not a fan of the family who had lived next door. And so when when the heroine returns back to like the family farm, Granny is not having it. And I mean, yes, it's kind of a caricature a bit, but I mean, I felt by the end of the third book, I mean, I cried writing her like arc by like the time I got into like book 2. So I mean,
she was a great character. I liked her a lot.
Granny.
Okay. All right. Trope number 4.
Okay. Best friends turned enemies. This is a good one. Screen Rant says many K-dramas often start out with an already established storyline, these being former best friends who go through something tragic and become mortal enemies. Is this a thumbs up or a thumbs down for you?
I love it. And it can be the leads, or it can be like a lead and a second lead, because that's the one that I'm going to talk about. It's going to be a lead and a second lead. But yeah.
Yeah, I also very love this. I need this to be in like, I'm already like calling out to the universe to give me more like mainstream Korean BLs. And I want this premise in my mainstream Korean BLs that are like,
oh yeah, that would be so good. So a really great example, I think, is in The Heirs. And the drama starts with Kim Tan, who is Lee Min-ho, and Choi Young-do, who is Kim Woo-bin. And we know that they're enemies at the very beginning. But we find out as the drama goes along that at one point they were best friends. Like as soon as they see each other, it's like fists are flying in the beginning of the drama. And then we find out they used to be best friends. And when it gets revealed as far as like what happened with their friendship and what Young-do has been like holding over Kim Tan's head, it really helps the viewer have empathy for Young-do and love him with all of their heart. It helps me love Young-do with all of my heart. And yeah, I mean, I really love that. And it's a really central part of the story, which I really enjoyed. And I also think Marry My Husband has its own sort of unique take on this trope. It's not a spoiler that in the very first episode, you know, the female lead finds out that her best friend is sleeping with her husband. And then it takes the whole drama to find out, well, how did they get to that place where her best friend did this horrible thing to her? And it's really well done.
I mean, I'm not going to get into the nuts and bolts of it, so I don't spoil it if you've never The Goblin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's my favorite use of this trope.
Oh, so good. So good.
So
not going to spoil the best drama in the world for you. So go watch Goblin if you haven't.
You know, and if you haven't, just
because have you used it in a book?
No. I mean, I would like to, though. I mean,
It's
I think
very K-drama. Like this is one that's very K-drama to me. I think that like I haven't seen too much, and maybe I'm just not reading the right stuff, but I haven't seen too much in books that I read. And I definitely haven't done it in anything that I've written, but it's fun. Like I like the idea of starting at a bad
Yeah.
place and finding out how you got there kind of thing.
Yeah, me too. Okay, this one, bread and butter of romance. Friends or enemies turn lovers. Screen Rant says this is often one of the most seen tropes to appear in K-dramas. Anywhere.
Anywhere, any romance, like
Yeah, because it sets up the storyline for a love story. It's also one of the most popular. This trope can come in a variety of forms, like a cold and distant guy who has it out for the female lead. There's also the lifelong best friends who one day realize they have feelings for each other. A thumbs up or a thumbs down for us.
thumbs all the way up.
I said
mean-
yes. So I'm a hater tonight a little bit. So yes, I mean yes, because it's like the OG. But I also feel like it's kind of overdone to the point because I think it is just like the classic. Like if you're doing a book, you're often making it an enemies to lovers or a friends to lovers. Not you personally, but just like in the world. That seems to be a very
in the romance world.
Yeah, it is like the bread and butter. And it also is in K-drama. And I think that like, yes, but like I think the enemy. So okay, the enemies one feels almost overdone. It's not enough for me anymore to be like, and they're enemies. Like I'm like, and what else? Because like I do need like a little bit more like if I'm taking my bread and I'm buttering it with my enemies to lovers, like I want the sprinkles. Like I'm gonna get out the sprinkles and do like the fairy bread is what they call it in Australia. You know, I want to know what else you're doing to my enemies to lovers to like make me give a shit. And friends to lovers, I do like, but I often take with like I put a heaping dose of because like I want to know how'd you just not ever know? Like and
I don't think you don't know. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't think you don't
examples
know.
I'm
I
going to
think
give are not that you don't know. It's the dynamics. So I feel like when I think about it, I'm always like, okay, I can think of some great examples of friends to lovers that I really like. And it's nuanced. Like
like
it's
Fight
all
for
in
My
like
Fight
how
for
you're
My Way is like the one that always comes to mind for friends to lovers. It's done
okay,
so
good.
well.
And then you had some other ones too.
Yeah, I just thought of Fight for My Way just now. And I was like, why didn't I write that down? But so for enemies to lovers that I think is done well, because you're right, it does get overplayed, but I think when it's done well, it's really, really good. And the tension can be really good. So Love to Hate You, which I still hope you watch one day because it's so funny, but so good. Like Nam Kang Ho, which is my love, Uteo, thinks that Yomi Ran, who's played by Kim Ak-vin, is a crazed fan who is out to get him. And Miran thinks that he's a womanizer and possibly even a pedophile. Like, spoiler, he is neither. Okay. But it's so funny because she is, and we talked about this in our Love to Hate You podcast, Megan and I, but in case you didn't listen to that one of the parts of the plot is that she is hired to teach him how to fight, because he's an actor, teach him how to fight well in an action movie that he really only knows like stage combat. And she is basically like a street fighter. And so to teach him, and because she thinks that he is a womanizer and a pedophile, when they are sparring with each other, she like kicks the shit out of him. It's so funny. And it's like in the middle of this fight that she learns that he's not any of the things that she thought he was. So it's really fun. And I think another good one, getting into like the fantasy spaces is Alchemy of Souls. We've got Jang-uk, who is a hapless, magicless mage who wants a soul-shifting assassin who has lost her powers and just wants her body back to teach him magic. So, I mean, one of my favorite couples ever. I mentioned it already in my top 5, Jang-uk and Naksu/Mudok forever. But yeah, I'd forgotten about Fight for My Way. I think that's a really good friends to lovers one.
So I just threw in, I didn't do any enemies. I just threw in some friends. I think the replies are all excellent with friends to lovers, just really handled that well. And same creators also did Hospital Playlist, freaking perfection of friends to lovers, like the gold standard. Honestly, both
absolutely.
really just like to me, I walked away satisfied being like, yes, I get it. Like that
Yes.
makes sense to me. It wasn't like one day I was like, weird, I have feelings for a friend. It was like,
No,
this
it wasn't. There were reasons
layered.
why it never happened in
Yep.
college and took as long as it did
Yep.
to
Or in
surface.
reply, it is your younger, like as
Yeah.
well. Or not. Like, I mean, we have adults as well falling in love, but it's just like it all made sense and like
Yeah. Because in reply, it's just this like group of friends who once they like all hit puberty, they start seeing each other differently.
yeah,
And
which makes sense.
yeah, it makes absolute sense. So, I mean, like, as far as using this in a book, either of these tropes, like, these are not new to us at all. Like, but I think, like, seeing them done well in drama, it solidifies my love. And I've done enemies to lovers and I've done friends to lovers once before. Enemies to lovers was like another early book of mine, which was an office romance where the hero steals the heroine's promotion without ever having met her. Like, he doesn't know that she's up for the promotion and he swoops in and gets the position, new to the company. But he is a single British dad. So, like, he changes her mind really quickly. And also, like, in my book, Tough Luck Cowboy, I have the heroine is the hero's best friend's ex-wife. And he's always been like cold and aloof to her. So she responds in kind. And so they have this like a little bit of combative relationship. But in reality, he fell for her the night that both he and his best friend met her. And he bowed out basically due to bro code before she even knew that he was interested. And then I do have a road trip romance called The One That Got Away, which is high school best friends having their 10-year reunion. And the hero agrees to drive the heroine cross country for the guy who she thinks is the one that got away. But he is admittedly to the reader in love with her and basically decides that he's going to get her to fall in love with him by the time this road trip is over.
Yeah, those were fun. Those were really good. For me, let's see. I've done enemies to lovers a few times. One was Head Coach, the second book in my hockey series, where I have a head coach, a sports journalist who he's got like a famous feud with. Another that I have is The Corner of Forever and Always, which is, a series that this was a cute, fun series. I would love
It
to get the rights.
was.
I want to get the rights back to these books because I would like to self-publish them.
This is the dog walker one, right?
So there was the Dog Walker was book one, which was on the
Oh, it happened on Love Street.
And then The Corner Forever and Always is book two. And the premise is essentially it's like
Amusement park.
It's an amusement park, kind of like a Disney knockoff, and she's a princess at the knockoff amusement park. And the love interest is like the grumpy mayor of the town. And they just like opposites attract, get under each other's skin. But it was kind of just like a fun, silly premise.
It was very fun. I remember both of those.
Currently doing a Friends to Lovers, which is newish for me. I do not do a lot of Friends to Lovers. And the thing I put on it, my sprinkle to make me like interested in wanting to do it is it's a Nuna romance.
Yay. I'm so excited.
It is actually the little brother, it's her best friend's little brother.
Oh, I love it.
5 years younger. So like they were old enough to like know each other and be friendly. But,
I love it.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right. Trope 6, idols as main characters. So this is what Screen Rant says, and I think there's a couple different ways to interpret this. So for fans of K-pop and K-dramas, it's a joy to see a famous idol grace the screen in a lead role. The idol's popularity brings in an already established viewership when a K-pop idol tries their hand at acting. So when I first saw just the title of this trope, idols as main characters, I took it a little bit differently. So I want to add another spin to this, where we are now seeing the trope of a main character who is an idol in the actual story. So I'd say let's comment on either or both, like either idols turned actors in real life or actors who play idols as a main character in a drama.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down for you?
I would like to have just a space. I want to have so many that I get sick of. I want so many idol dramas. Pissed that we have so few.
So if we're talking an idol turned actor, like is the idol Baroon, then yes, all of the thumbs up. But I've also learned that I like actors playing idols, which is where my drama comes in. So I'll just toss it in there. In her private life, Jung Jae-won, known as One, for his stage name, is an idol playing an idol, Xian. So I love how meta that drama was because we had an idol playing an idol. And he was not a main, like not one of the main leads, but he still played a very main role in the drama and he was adorable.
I put in just the most
I knew you would.
obvious choice, which is Duna, where we have Bae Suzy, famous idol, who plays an idol.
I love it. And she's so good.
Yeah, and I mean, this is again one of these like dramas that got panned a lot last year. People were not into it, and for me, I'm gonna still stand by the fact it was my favorite drama in 2020.
I loved it. I loved it. It's one of those that all three of us
Loved.
like wholeheartedly loved.
Yep, because we have a predilection for liking those new adult kind of messy as you're kind of coming into the cusp of being like a full grown up, kind of like
So
those
angsty.
Yeah, those college set romances are, yeah, they're good.
Have you ever used something close to this in a book?
I have used nothing like this.
And much to your dismay, my next cowboy book releasing in February, where both leads are country singers, and I wrote songs for it and everything. Anyone out there want to score them for me as an extra to include on my website? Like, I'm only half kidding. I actually asked my daughter to do it, but then she left for school. So
bring them to me, please.
Yeah. I'm going to serenade you.
All right. What do we have next? Ooh, tragic event or illness. Screen Rant says, as the storyline goes on and things seem like they're going to be okay, tragedy strikes. It's a useful and often used plot element that shifts the story to the serious and adds a layer of tension. This is done with a character being involved in a vehicle accident or another form of physical altercation.
I didn't even look at what you wrote for this. Do you bring up Queen of Tears?
I didn't. I mean, I honestly went with one that was actually tragic, as opposed to Queen of Tears, where this is again where like we often see they've been hit by a car. They have, they're
Shot.
How many times could, and my demon, like they were dying like they were in death's door all the time. But it just felt like it was a way to like be like, oh, more external conflict, like keep it filled. So I wig of the finger those. I actually chose, well, first of all, thumbs up or thumbs down.
It's story dependent for me. So I can't say all in or not all in because I have like examples that can go either way. So it's not my favorite thing.
Yeah, so I agree. I feel like it's kind of one or the like, yeah, it's not a guaranteed yes, it's not a guaranteed no. It really is going to depend. I do not want a kid involved in my tragedy.
No.
So I'm a pretty big pass on that. And beyond that, I'm not like a super big fan of like the diseases. And so probably a no for me on that. I could have handled something like Queen of Tears if it had been executed differently. That kind of an illness was interesting.
Yeah.
The example you're going to run with does not sell it to me.
No. I mean, like,
I'll talk about yours and then I'll jump into mine.
Yeah. And look, I tortured myself because, so I already brought up The Heirs and how much I loved Kim Woo-bin's character in The Heirs, where I needed to see him in a lead romantic role. And so I subjected myself to Uncontrollably Fond. And Uncontrollably Fond is like uncontrollably watchable. Like I didn't stop watching it. I binged it. So I don't know if I want to say does it well or not. Like, from episode 1 that Kim Woo-bin's character, Shin Jun-young, is dying of brain cancer. Yet you sit through the whole drama thinking he will find magic surgery, a la a drama we've been hating on, only to have your heart like totally pummeled. Like the drama is just tragic. And he has such tragic things. Like he has a tragic relationship with his mother who never approved of him being an actor, and it doesn't get resolved, even though he's dying, and it's rough, right? But that was the point of the drama. Like that was the story of the drama. And I knew going in, like I watched episode 1 and I was like, no, I didn't realize, like the cover of the drama does not tell you this. The blurb for the drama does not tell you this. I watched episode 1 and I remember messaging you guys and I was like, I will watch this. I will take one for the team. I don't think you two should. I'm pretty sure he's going to die. but it was the drama. And so I accepted it because it was the story of the drama. I will say, like, jumping into one that I think does it really well, and I didn't even write this down, is Crash Landing on You. Like, there's some action, there's some shootings that happen, and it works in the story, and it adds tension at some good parts. I don't think it's gratuitous. But then there's dramas like Rain or Shine, which I love Rain or Shine. Okay. But they shoehorn in a tragic illness in the 11th hour that I remember messaging you and Megan, like saying, like, if this does not go how I want it to go, I am going to like throw my computer out the window, drown it in the toilet, something. Yeah. So I don't like when it's just thrown in there just for shits and giggles, like, you know, shooting Hyun Woo and mowing him down with a car in Queen of Tears, like in the same episode. There's no reason for that.
Yeah, I don't think I can ever watch that one.
No, don't.
My choice
I'm still bereft from it. Like,
yeah, no, thank you. My choice is Fated to Love You, which is a drama that you and Megan haven't seen. It's an older one. I mean, older being like, you know, it's like,
every time we talk about it, I'm like interested in it. Like, I know the story, but
yeah, it's a good drama. It's one of those ones too that kind of like starts off a little bit like, I don't know if I can actually do this, and then you're like very compelled and sucked in, and like all I can say is the hero has a laugh that is so off-putting that you're like, there's absolutely no way I cannot deal with this laugh for this, like I'm gonna have to tap out on this laugh alone. By the end, it's like a warm hug. But halfway through the drama, a real unexpected tragedy strikes that I haven't really seen in other K-dramas. I mean, I'm sure it exists, but like there's a big trauma that happens. And I was devastated by it.
Do you know what I'm just realizing? It happens in Queen of Tears, and they like never deal with it.
They kind of refer to it as like part of the rift.
Yes, but they never actually deal with it.
No, which is another issue I have.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Queen of Tears lovers.
But in this one, yeah, there's a big loss that happens about halfway through, and it doesn't feel like a plot stunt. It feels like it's a really painful thing that happens, but it also, to me, helps. I mean, it drives the conflict forward in a believable way to me, and it really like humanizes the stakes, and it like deepens a relationship, because essentially it's a couple that I don't know how to.
Just,
you know what?
Skip
ahead.
You don't want spoil it. Yeah.
The premise is they accidentally sleep together, which seems absurd. The way they structure it is pretty funny. So they think they're each sleeping with someone else. It kind of makes sense. Like it's enough that I was like, okay. So they accidentally sleep together. It's consensual. They just both think they're having sex with a different person. They're not sober. And she gets pregnant. And she is like a subordinate in his company. She's known as like, I forget, the Post-it note girl, basically, like her Post-it. Like she's just kind of like, she's like a nothing burger, like glasses, forgettable, like wallflower. He's like the head of, he's like the table's son. So they come together around the pregnancy, and that's what drives the beginning. It's a surprise pregnancy, and they start to connect because they're in this forced proximity relationship. So what happens when that gets taken off the table, essentially? So once you get that taken off the table, then that introduces a whole new layer of conflict, because you've kind of like blown up the trope in the middle of the story. And so now you have to see what to do to grapple it. I thought it was done pretty good, actually, and made the story like it really got me. Like I was very emotional.
Yeah. No, every time you talk about it, I'm like, I feel like that sounds like it's very well done.
Yeah, I think you would like it.
Yeah. I've not used like tragic illness like on the page. I mean, like I've had like my most recent book, my hero is a widower, but that never happens like on the page. He just starts out that way. The worst thing that I've done on the page though is I have killed a dog.
Oh,
but his name is Frederick, and he spanned 2 books, and he lived a long, good life. I promise. He died of natural causes. Like there was no John Wick level trauma for this dog.
In his sleep.
Yes. Well, no, not exactly.
Shit.
My hero is a veterinarian, and it's his very first patient, and he has to euthanize him.
Oh man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not laughing at like euthanization of animals. I've been on the receiving end of that. It's not good, but that's like I think that's the most tragic thing I've done on the page.
Hmm.
How about you?
Look, not a lot of tragedy, but I did have a hero who smoke jumps into a fire and prevents the tragedy befalling a young fawn. But I would say my first book series, Off the Map, kind of like the impetus to like what happens in the story that kind of sets the heroine out in her journey is she believes, rightly or wrongly, mostly wrongly, that she is to blame for her, or actually all wrongly. She's to blame for her sister's death. And so the book has like kind of like a grappling throughout the series of kind of like dealing with the fact that she blames herself for her sister dying because she has OCD and she had like a compulsive checking need, and was convinced she left a hair straightener plugged in at home. And the family's pretty like annoyed at this point with like her like kind of like compulsive behavior. And so she's like, I need to go home and check. I need to go home and check. Family's like not into it. So the sister's like, I'll do it. I'll go check. And then on her running home, dies. So she blames herself for there's like a lot of self-hatred due to like her mental health. And then also like feeling like that actually like ended her sister's life.
It's very well done. I've read the book. So should you. All right. Bones in the Closet. This is a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
So here's what Screen Rant says about this one. This is a favorite when it comes to a riveting and alluring K-drama. When it comes to dramas about love, it needs a bit of oomph to make things riveting. This is often done by alluding to the main character's dark past that has hindered them for years, and it becomes one of the main hurdles to overcome for the characters. So, thumbs up or thumbs down?
I'm going to say thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Except for the way that I like it. Look, I like it.
Yeah,
especially when it's past lives related, and you're like, nope.
I just don't love I like past lives in the world. Like if we're talking about past lives, I'm like,
but not in dramas.
I haven't loved it in dramas. That's not to say I couldn't love it in dramas, but I'm not like as soon as you're like, and it's like multiple past lives, I'm like, oh, I'm okay.
Yeah, soon my 19th life was
my 19th life. I'm like, how many lives? I don't want to do
19.
it.
19. I love seeing my 19th life. But yeah, I do like it though. I mean, a couple of dramas that do it well, speaking of like past lives or not, it's like Goblin, hello. See You in My 19th Life. Those are two that have, a little bit of a magical twist to them. And then It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Like some dark stuff for both the hero and the heroine in that one. How about you?
Flower of Evil, obviously, is like a perennial bones in the attic for.
I mean, one of my top 5 dramas, by the way. Did I mention that tonight?
Yeah, I do really. And Flower of Evil is great,
but we can't say much about it because
you
have to watch it.
That's right.
I have not used this in a book. Have you?
So I kind of said that like a little bit. Yes, kind of. So in my book With Every Breath, I would say that like I kind of use an element like this, but I did get the rights back to With Every Breath. This was a book that I put out 2015 or something. It stopped, it's just didn't sell anymore. Like it was kind of like a dead book. So I was able to get the rights back to it, which means I now fully own it and can republish it. It's on my list of long shit of things to do. I do want to tweak it because there's things I'm not as happy with that I think I can like freshen up. So I will like to tweak it and put it back out into the world. And I will make sure that the bones are boning.
The bones are boning. As I was thinking about it, I'm like, I do have like a couple of books where characters have like a little bit of trauma in their past, but nothing like It's Okay to Not Be Okay. Like nothing that dark.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Sorry. Go on to trope 9.
Okay. Love triangles. Screen Rant says fans can go on and on about how K-dramas use love triangles to create a love story that has them on the edge of their seat. Some are out of this world and have become fan favorites. There are love triangles that also created second lead syndrome, where the second choice was more deserving of the female character's love. Is it a thumbs up or a thumbs down for you?
Thumbs up. I love a good love triangle when it's not 100% obvious who the final hero will be, even though it does break my heart sometimes. I still love it. How about you?
I love it. Yeah, I am a big fan. It's my favorite.
I mean, there's one drama that does it the best. Like we both agree.
Mm-hmm.
Reply 1988.
For K-drama, yeah, I think it's the best.
Yeah. Have you used it in a book?
No, and here is why. I love it so much that I have not tried because I think I hold it myself. I hold this trope as my favorite and on a pedestal. However, the beginning of a new book idea, which is not talkie, by the way, has begun to slowly take place for me. And
well, this is something I don't know yet. I want to hear about it offline.
I have not talked about it to the world at all. But the idea I have that's taking shape could be a love triangle, but it could also end up being polyamory. I really don't know.
Oh.
Because I don't know if I want to have it just be I think it's actually going to be a love triangle that's going to end up being we're just all in it together.
Why choose?
Why choose?
So I kind of did it in my first book, If Only. And
you did.
And even though I knew who the main hero was in my head, as I was writing, it's funny because the story is very, 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 very loosely based on my study abroad experience in Scotland, like very loose. But the characters, like who I based them on, I was like, well, this guy is the hero because this is how, how I picture it. But as I was writing it, I fell for the second lead. And luckily got to give him his own book. So I basically got to write a whole second lead SOS book for him. So that book, What If, that I mentioned earlier with the heroine who has short-term memory loss, that is the book with the hero who is the second lead in my first book. So I was very, very happy I loved that book even better than the first one. So yeah, it's a tough one. I have not done it since because I don't honestly think I can do it justice. Playing up both men enough to make it difficult to choose because I feel like I, as a writer, am gonna love one more than the other, and that's gonna show through in the story. So I think it's hard. Basically, is what I'm saying. Hard to do it well, and so stories that do it well, I really, really like. All right, last one: Cinderella story. Screen Rant says Cinderella's story of a simple girl getting the opportunity to glam herself up and impress the prince has been reiterated in many forms on screen, even in K-dramas. This more often than not occurs in the form of makeovers or a lower status girl catching the eye of the popular male lead. In K-dramas, female leads are sometimes deemed as quote unquote unattractive in looks. They go through a detailed makeover that makes them desirable. And in the end, the male lead actually fell for her before the makeover. Or at least I hope that, I would hope he did. So thumbs up or thumbs down for you?
So I think this is a surprise. It is a kind of thumbs up for me.
Yeah?
I think people would expect me not to like it for some reason.
I'm very mad on it, but I think it's because I just haven't seen one that I love.
So this is the thing is I just believe it could be very good.
Yeah.
And so it's like amnesia for me. I don't have a lot of examples to point to where I'm like, yes, it has been done well, but I believe it has that power to be done well to a way I would enjoy it.
Yeah, I think I don't like, I like a makeover montage for fun, but I don't like a makeover being like the reason that the heroine's going to catch the eye of the hero or something like that. Like Healer. Best makeover montage because they both get a makeover and they both get all glammed up together and neither of them are that person and they both like each other, unmade up, but we get to have this like sort of fun moment where they get to play pretend. So yeah, I'm not a huge fan, but prove me wrong. I've never written it. Have you?
I have not, but I would.
I think you should.
Yeah.
I could see you doing a good job with it.
Yeah, I think it could be like a progressive, subversive story.
Yes. Yeah, I like it. This is
All right.
fun. I did not mean for this to be another opportunity for me to dog on Queen of Tears. I did give it a thumbs up for the parent portion of it. So
Mhm.
I will always say there's stuff that I absolutely love about that genre, especially the leads. But yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, I thought it was fun too. And I am excited, looking forward to the fall look, I enjoy being with you, but I look forward to having us all together yet again.
Yes.
It's my favorite thing.
It's been a busy summer. This is the busiest I think we've ever been.
It is. It really is. I feel like it's just been discombobulated, but not just because of life, because there's been just so many different things going on. I think we are doing our best to hold it down, but I am looking forward to getting into kind of a fall routine with you both.
Yes, same. All right. Well, we can put our Wednesday night work brains to bed now. And yeah, we will see you all next time. And gosh, I do believe we might all be together next time too. So don't quote me on it, folks. But I think we'll all be within just a couple time zones of each other next time you hear us. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah.
Annyeong.
감사합니다. Thank you for listening to Afternoona Delight. Where can you find us outside the pod? Head on over to afternoonadelight.com. That's AFTERNOONADELIGHT.com. You'll find links to all our social media, our book recs, K-pop and K-skincare recs, and if you want even more Afternoona Delight, because really who doesn't, you can join our Patreon, where you can choose the patron level that's right for you. Join in daily K-drama conversations, listen to bonus podcast episodes just for patrons, and participate in our monthly live K-drama support group via Zoom. We can't wait for you to be a part of the community. Until next time, annyeong!